And that was the goal of this book. I'll give you my 30-second plug here. I do want to emphasize, I don't make any money from this book. I did something that economists say you should never do, which is do something just for the joy of doing it, as opposed to for the money, right? All the royalties go to the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, which is a progressive research institute in Canada. And I didn't make money, but I got something much better than that, so thank you. There's also a bunch of resources on that website. I know there are some instructors in the room. For anyone who's looking to teach economics from a different perspective, from a critical perspective, there's free resources on that website that goes with the book, including course outlines, reading lists, glossaries, and other materials like that that I'll recommend for you. So step one in trying to demystify this whole discussion is to demystify the economy itself. Because when people say, what is the economy? People get very confused. They think the economy is the regular statistical updates, the GDP or the leading indicators or the other statistical updates you get from Statistics Canada every week or two. They think that the economy is the financial market reports, right? The pages and pages of newsprint at the back of your paper every day that millions of trees died to print, right? To tell you whether the markets went up 2 points or went down 2 points the previous day. Or worst of all, they think the economy is this guy. Okay, this dickhead who comes on TV 5 times an afternoon, right, with the daily market update, right? The daily market update, Joe Blow Broker, whatever his name is, and they go to him and stick a microphone in his mouth and say, well, Joe, why were the markets up 2 points today? And he says, well, Bill, the markets are up 2 points today because investor confidence strengthened. Oh, well, there's an informative statement, right? That's like saying it's light outside because the sun rose in the east this morning, right? It didn't actually tell you anything. The worst thing is they go back to him the next day when the markets fell 2 points. They go back to the same guy, Joe Blow Broker, why did the markets fall 2 points? Well, Bill, the markets fell 2 points because investor confidence weakened. Right? And they call it news, right? This isn't actually news. This is actually culture. This is politics. This is not imparting useful information that matters to us. This is trying to impart the vision that what matters in the economy, the markets matter, the financial markets. If you're not covering the financial markets, you're not covering the economy. And nothing could be further from the truth, because the financial markets' ups and downs are irrelevant to the real economy at the best of times, and they're disruptive of the real economy when they go awry, as they have over the last year. If we really wanted to learn about the economy, we wouldn't have 5 market updates a day at 11 and 41 minutes past every hour, right? We would have 5 work updates a day, okay? They go out with a microphone to somebody who actually works for a living, who actually produces something, and said, what did you do today? How did it go? What is the value of your work? And how can you do it better, right? We learn infinitely more about the economy than listening to Joe Blow Broker 5 times a day. So, that's not what the economy is. The economy is nothing more and nothing less than the sum total of the work that all of us collectively do to produce the goods and services that are needed and useful to us. It's a 4-letter word. Okay, that's the economy. It is a 4-letter word. It feels like a 4-letter word on Monday mornings, right? When you have to drag your butt out of bed and go and do it. Why do we work? Well, we're living beings, so we need food, clothing, shelter, and the other necessities of life. But we're not animals, we're human beings. So we want more than just survival. We want meaning, we want education, we want recreation, we want fulfillment, we want leisure. So to get all of those things, we have to work for them. That's the beginning and the end of the economy. The GDP is nothing more than the sum total of the value produced by everybody who works in all of the different ways that we work as human beings. White collar, blue collar, private sector, public sector, goods production, services production. Even the work that we do at home without getting paid for is work, and it produces value. It isn't counted in the GDP, unfortunately, but it is still work, and it is still part of our economy. That's as simple as it is. Forget the market updates and the technical mumbo-jumbo. The economy is the sum total of the work that we do to produce the human needs that we have, the needs and wants that we have. So, if that is true, if we demystify the economy in that sense, in that definition, how do we understand this crisis? Because the fact of the matter is, we can work today just as well as we could work last year. Collectively, we all are able to work. We actually want to work. It might not feel like that on Monday morning, right? But we do want to have a job. We want to have a job to support ourselves, to pay the bills, to support our families, and to have a sense of meaning in life, right? I mean, and again, for those of you who aren't working yet, this is the world that you're heading towards. You're preparing to work with your education. In fact, we can work better this year than we could last year because we've learned through technology, through knowledge, through efficiency, we've learned how to do our work a little bit better, by 1 or 2 or 3% better each year. So that is a question. There isn't an inherent material reason for us to be having a crisis where people's belts are being tightened, their incomes are being cut, their jobs are disappearing, they're losing their homes, their pensions, and in some cases, even their lives, on a very kind of simple level.
Yeah, and our standard workload formulas.
And the formulas, that's right, thank you. Thank you for that little addition from the peanut gallery. I do this as a work in progress, just like all the other human work in progress. So let's have it. Any other suggestions you have? So here's the point, is on one level we can say we shouldn't be having a crisis. The economy is our work. It's not trading on financial and derivatives markets. So if it's our work that matters, then let's focus attention on our work and let's demand our right to work, because that's where our prosperity comes from. There's this mistaken idea that the crisis was just this kind of random, negative, bad event, some kind of inexorable catastrophe that's beyond our control, a comet hurtling towards Earth. I love this peanut gallery. They throw in 2 bits worth and they laugh their heads off. So, this whole peanut gallery, free book at the end. There we go. This idea that it's just a random bad thing that happened, okay, and that's how they want us to think. I don't know if anyone has read the new book from Naomi Klein, The Shock Doctrine. Has anybody read that? Several have. Really good stuff, an excellent history of how the world has unfolded in the last quarter century, and she warns that the kind of elites, the powers that be, like to take advantage of a moment of crisis and the confusion that goes with it to try and reinforce the influence and the power and the vested interests that they have. And this is no exception. They want us to think that the crisis is just a bad thing, and therefore we all have to tighten our belts. This crisis was not just a bad thing. It was not a random event. It wasn't unpredictable and unpreventable, like this comet hurtling towards Earth. It was predictable and preventable, and it started with these guys. Okay, here are the red-jacketed traders who inhabit the trading floor of the stock market and the other financial casinos of the world. And this is where the crisis started, from not a comet from outer space or a big black cloud that just appeared over our heads. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm trivializing this or getting, vindictive and personal. I know this guy looks like Stéphane Dion, okay? I'm not suggesting that Stéphane Dion caused the world financial crisis, okay? I know he has new work these days, but I don't think he's a stock market trader. I do blame him for allowing Stephen Harper to win the last election, but apart from that, that's another story. The problem started on the trading floors with those guys with a problem, a mouthful. Here's a jargonistic term, financialization. Financialization is a word that simply means the overdevelopment, the hyperactivity, the excess self-importance, if you like, of the financial industry. The banks, okay, but more importantly, the more sophisticated players, like the investment banks and the hedge funds and the currency traders and the derivatives traders and the brokers who make their money in those paper casinos, if you like. They make their money buying and selling financial assets as opposed to producing actual goods and services that we consume. And the financialization that we're experiencing today is the outgrowth of this big shift in our economic and social and political and cultural policies that has been experienced in Canada and most of the world over the last quarter century or so. Internationally, this shift is known as neoliberalism. We used to call it the corporate agenda or neoconservatism. Whatever it was a shift in policy to get away from the old ideas of full employment and a welfare state, instead emphasizing business influence, business dominance in our economy, more freedom for businesses, including financial businesses, and more discipline and control over the real economy. In fact, the real work that we do, producing goods and services, has been kept on a very, very tight leash